The Young and the Restless spoilers shock the descent of Summer, a deal with darkness. Summer Newman had always been a woman of determination, a fire burning in her soul for the things she desired. For years, she had yearned for Kyle Abbott's love, chasing it with unrelenting passion. But now, as Kyle found solace and joy in the arms of Claire, Summer felt the sting of defeat for the first time. Her heart, heavy with rejection, burned with a new emotion, hatred. Kyle was her everything. She couldn't bear the thought of a life without him, of watching him build a future with someone else. So when Jordan, a woman cloaked in shadows and infamy, offered her an alliance, Summer found herself teetering on the edge of morality. The whisper of darkness. Jordan was no ordinary figure. She thrived in the underworld, a master manipulator who thrived on chaos. Standing in the darkened corners of Summer's mind, she recognized the young woman's vulnerability and seized the moment to strike. "You hate her, don't you?" Jordan's voice was smooth, almost hypnotic, as she approached Summer one evening. "Claire has taken everything from you. And Kyle? He won't look at anyone else as long as she's in the picture." Summer froze, her chest heaving as Jordan's words struck a chord. "What are you trying to say?" Jordan smiled, a cold, calculated expression. "I'm saying we can fix this. Together. Claire doesn't have to stay in your way. You just have to trust me." Summer hesitated. She knew Jordan's reputation. A criminal, a schemer, someone who thrived on manipulation and destruction. To align herself with Jordan meant stepping into a world of moral ambiguity. But the thought of losing Kyle forever was too much to bear. "What's your plan?" Summer asked, her voice trembling but resolute. The hidden truth. Jordan wasted no time. She took Summer to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, leading her down a staircase into a dimly lit underground bunker. The air was damp, the atmosphere oppressive. In the far corner of the room, behind iron bars, sat Sharon, disheveled but defiant. Summer's breath hitched as she stared at Sharon. "What is this?" "A little project of mine," Jordan replied nonchalantly. "Sharon crossed me, and now she's learning her lesson. But this isn't just about her anymore." Jordan gestured to the empty cell adjacent to Sharon's. "This is where Claire will go. Once she's out of the picture, Kyle will have no choice but to move on. And that's where you come in. He'll turn to you, Summer." Summer's stomach churned. She wasn't blind to the immorality of the plan, but the idea of losing Kyle was unbearable. "You're insane," she whispered, stepping back. "Am I?" Jordan countered, her eyes narrowing. "Or am I offering you exactly what you've always wanted? You know he'll never leave Claire as long as she's around. But if you help me, you'll have your chance. Isn't that worth the risk?" A deal with the devil. Summer wrestled with her conscience, torn between her desire for Kyle and the horror of what Jordan was suggesting. She glanced at Sharon, who stared back at her with a mix of pity and anger. "Don't do it," Sharon said firmly, her voice echoing in the small space. "Jordan's using you. Whatever she's promised you, it won't end the way you think it will." But Sharon's words fell on deaf ears. Summer's mind was already clouded with visions of a future with Kyle, a future she couldn't let slip away. "What do I have to do?" Summer asked finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Jordan's smile widened. "Good girl. All you have to do is trust me. I'll handle Claire. You just make sure Kyle is ready to turn to you when she's gone." The first step into darkness. As Summer left the bunker that night, her heart pounded with a mix of fear and anticipation. She had taken the first step into a world she didn't fully understand, aligning herself with a woman who thrived on chaos and destruction. But in her mind, the end justified the means. Kyle would be hers, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, back in the bunker, Jordan watched Sharon with a smirk. "Poor Summer," she said mockingly. "She thinks this is about Kyle. But we both know it's much bigger than that." Sharon glared at her captor. "You won't get away with this, Jordan. Oh, Sharon, Jordan replied, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I already have. The fallout Summer's alliance with Jordan set off a chain of events that would change everything. As Jordan prepared to carry out her plan, Summer found herself drawn deeper into a world of manipulation and deceit. The lines between right and wrong blurred, and the woman who once fought for love now found herself consumed by obsession. But as the plan unfolded, Summer began to see the cracks in Jordan's promises. What if Kyle didn't turn to her after all? What if this path led to nothing but destruction? The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation, where love, betrayal, and redemption would collide. Summer's choices would determine not only her future but the fates of everyone around her. Would she find the strength to step back from the brink, or would she lose herself completely in her pursuit of Kyle? Only time would tell. Kyle's discovery. The fight to protect Claire. Kyle Abbott had always trusted his instincts, but nothing could have prepared him for the shocking scene he stumbled upon one evening. Hidden in the shadows outside a quiet cafe, he saw Summer, his once beloved partner, sitting across from Jordan, a woman infamous for her manipulative and criminal tendencies. The words he overheard sent a chill down his spine. They won't see it coming, Summer said, her voice low but tinged with resolve. Of course not, Jordan replied with a smirk. We're partners now. Claire will be out of Genoa before they even realize she's gone. Kyle froze, his heart pounding. Claire? His Claire? The woman who had brought light back into his life after so much darkness? Rage and disbelief coursed through him as he listened to their plan unfold. Jordan intended to take Claire to Los Angeles, far away from Genoa City and the Newman family. Summer, driven by jealousy and desperation, had allied herself with this dangerous woman to achieve her goal, separating Kyle from Claire. A race against time. Kyle knew he had to act fast. Jordan was cunning and resourceful, and Summer's involvement made the situation even more personal. He couldn't afford to confront them directly, not yet. Instead, he carefully slipped away, formulating a plan to expose their scheme and protect Claire. Gathering evidence. Kyle's first step was to gather undeniable proof of their conspiracy. He knew the stakes were high. Without solid evidence, Jordan could easily slip through the cracks of the legal system, and Summer's involvement might remain hidden. Kyle reached out to an old friend, Detective Ray Rosales, who had connections within the Genoa City Police Department. Ray agreed to help, understanding the gravity of the situation. We'll need to bug their next meeting, Ray suggested. Catch them discussing their plans in detail. It's the only way we'll have enough to arrest Jordan and implicate Summer if necessary. Kyle hesitated for a moment. Despite everything, he still cared for Summer. He didn't want to see her ruined, but her actions left him no choice. Do it, he said firmly. Whatever it takes to keep Claire safe. Planting the trap using his connections, Kyle learned of another meeting between Summer and Jordan, scheduled for the following evening. With Ray's help, he managed to plant a discreet recording device at the meeting spot. As expected, Jordan and Summer arrived, their conversation as damning as Kyle had anticipated. She'll be out of Genoa City by next week, Jordan said confidently. I already have the arrangements in Los Angeles. Once she's there, no one will be able to touch her. And Kyle? Summer asked hesitantly. He'll be devastated. He'll have no choice but to move on, with me. Kyle's jaw tightened as he listened to the recording from a safe distance. This was no longer just about Claire, it was about justice, about stopping Jordan and making sure Summer faced the consequences of her betrayal. Confronting Jordan armed with the evidence, Kyle and Ray moved quickly. They secured a warrant to arrest Jordan and intercept Claire before the plan could be executed. But Kyle wasn't content to wait in the background, he wanted to confront Jordan himself. When the police arrived at Jordan's hideout, Kyle was right behind them. He burst into the room, his fury barely contained. It's over, Jordan, he said coldly. You're not taking Claire anywhere. Jordan's composure faltered for a moment, but she quickly recovered, her trademark smirk returning. "You're too late, Kyle." "Claire's already, save it," Ray interrupted, stepping forward with a pair of handcuffs. "We have everything we need. You're under arrest for conspiracy and attempted kidnapping." As the officers restrained Jordan, Kyle turned to Summer, who stood frozen in shock. "How could you?" he demanded, his voice breaking. "I trusted you, Summer. I thought I knew you." Tears streamed down Summer's face, but she said nothing. There was no defense for what she had done. Justice served with Jordan in custody and her plans thwarted, Kyle turned his attention back to Claire. He made sure she was safe, vowing to never let anything like this happen again. As for Summer, her involvement in the scheme was undeniable, but Kyle struggled with how to handle her betrayal. Ray assured him that the evidence could implicate her, but Kyle hesitated. Despite everything, a part of him still cared for Summer and didn't want to see her life completely destroyed. Ultimately, he decided to let the authorities determine her fate. "I'm done protecting her," he told Ray. "Let her face the consequences of her choices." Moving forward, the ordeal left Kyle shaken but resolute. He knew he had narrowly avoided a disaster, and he was more determined than ever to protect the people he loved. Claire, safe and grateful for Kyle's vigilance, stood by his side as they began to rebuild the trust that Jordan and Summer had tried to shatter. For Summer, the fallout was harsh. Her alliance with Jordan cost her everything: Kyle, her reputation, and the life she once knew. Alone and filled with regret, she was left to reflect on the choices that had led her down such a dark path. As for Jordan, her arrest marked the end of her reign of manipulation, but her influence would leave scars on everyone involved. Kyle knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, he felt hopeful. The storm had passed, and now it was time to rebuild.